Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Formula One Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix 2026 review. I am Ajax, and I am joined by Sorgan. It's because I was looking at the website. That's what it's titled as. Yes. Turkey will be soon. True that. Yeah, this was interesting. I think because with this race had a bunch of changes to it. Going into it, they had an extra long practice session, an hour and a half. Oh my la! And Yeah, and then it was a sprint weekend as well, which makes it even more tricky. And obviously, there has been rule changes. So it was an interesting weekend. A bunch of teams have obviously brought upgrades because they had 5 weeks break as well, and it really gave into a lot of chaos, and a lot of interesting things happened that we'll get into. So yeah, a good Grand Prix weekend. On what I will say is still a incredibly awful track. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it was just not a great weekend overall. Um, the Yeah, that was they moved the time. They moved the entire race to make sure that we didn't have to deal with rain. Um, and Yeah, I think if we head into, I mean, the practice session was a practice session, right? They all were testing. We did see that the Ferraris, the Red Bulls, well, in particular Max Verstappen, which we'll get into, and the McLarens have all brought up quite a lot of upgrades. I believe Mercedes didn't bring any upgrades, which we'll get into why that's pretty huge. Yeah, maybe a couple, but we'll get into. And that showed in the sprint qualifying. Let's start with them actually. Uh, Slower than an F2 car in sprint qualifying. That is exactly what Fernando Alonso wanted. A one, he got a 141.3. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we also there was so yeah, that was a. I thought my because obviously I put them as Ferrari of the weekend, and I was like, that is coming through for me. Um, that is going to be huge for me. but it didn't end up being so. Um, the other things to note from that sprint qualifying, I think there was a problem with Albon went through to SQ1, right, or to SQ2, sprint qualifying two, despite the fact that his lap should have been deleted in SQ1. So like Liam Lawson just didn't get to take part in sprint quality two, which is incredibly funny. That the FIA did that, which we'll get onto very far back later on about them taking their times to make decisions. This race in particular. But yeah, and then we got the surprise of Lando Norris on pole, and quite a great, like it was a really good pole lap. One and a half tenths ahead of the Mercedes, 3 tenths up on his Piastri. Yeah, yeah, yes. So far, yeah, yeah, but yeah, yeah, definitely. They brought it to them. They've leapfrogged Ferrari evidently by quite a bit as well. Is what I would say on actual like long term race pace. We'll discuss it, but the Ferraris do not look like they have any pace when the race gets going far. Um, Whereas the McLarens, that was their main thing last year, right? It was that they were incredible at long term race pace. Maybe they wouldn't get away from the rest of the grid within the first 5 laps or 10 laps, but by the end of the race, they could be 30 seconds up. And especially given that last year was the last year of regulations, that 30 seconds is quite big. Um, so yeah, that was it was a big thing, and that led into the actual race as well. First, also, they looked like they would be the worst team in terms of race starts, and they're not. So they've suddenly leapfrogged Mercedes with that, and that meant that they could get a quite easy 1-2 in the end. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we need to. That's the one thing that is hampering his seasons are these bad starts, right? I think we can both agree on that. We'll get to the race start, which went a little better for him, but in terms of race starts, it is something to worry about. That's a quintessential huge bit of racing, especially in these era. Last year was the biggest thing, right? Um, you could basically watch the race start and then just look at the cliff notes. So he definitely has to get that down, and it did cost him in this sprint quality. He did get a penalty as well, didn't he? That's why he uh, dropped to George and Max, I think, right? Yeah, yeah. Lucky he didn't do that in the actual race. Yeah. Yes, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Yeah. It's Yeah, not in terms of, but we saw last year what 1 point can do. Yes, true. That is big. That is big. Yeah, yeah, yes. Well, let's jump into qualifying, um, which was weird because all that pace that the McLaren showed suddenly left them. um, they showed so much pace in that sprint race, got that one too, and then finished fourth and seventh in the actual qualifying. So a huge shock there. Another shock was Alonso and Stroll were 17th and 18th. That's quite big. I like how I just go back and look at the Astons. To me, that it was an important weekend. Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. No, Albon went through this time. Yes. Uh, what for the star? No, let me. I guess I'll have a quick look. Um, no, no one. I guess Piastri would be my second, but he got beaten by his teammate. Yeah, so it's a bit tricky. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I agree. There's no one else where I would say. I mean, we could talk about Hamilton at some point, but for the sprint, he's probably fine. Yeah. Exactly. No, no, not at all. I mean, like it was competitive, right? The qualifying is better with the changes. That's what I'll admit. What I will say about the sprint, whilst we transition, is that sprint was incredibly boring compared to the racing that we've had so far this season. Compared to last year, exciting. Compared to the racing we've had this season, boring. It was the most boring race we've had this season, including the Miami Grand Prix. That's mainly, I'm guessing, because of the track. Um, but yeah, and then yeah, the sprint, but the qualifying is better. Um, so yeah, no more slowing down. Yeah, that's mad. It's mad that they've just gave up. The drivers did hate it. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, it's a good point. But shall we head into the top five? Which, yes, yeah. So far, no points for either of us. Yeah, we're incredible by Max, by the way, and he looked like he might get pole as well. He was very close. So yeah, we probably won't have time to get onto him. Well, we will actually talk about him at the start of the race. Um, but they've evidently changed the car to be suited to him again, um, given Hadjar's random fall off the fall as well. Um, so yeah, it's all it's looking good. And for Max Verstappen, that's huge, right? If he wants to stay in the sport, he has to be competitive, and being second on the grid is competitive. And he had a fun weekend. We'll get to it. He had a very fun weekend. So yeah, still no points for either. So I would have had fun. Oh, it was crazy the whole time. Yeah, yeah, definitely. There were a few peed off drivers, very peed off drivers, particularly former teammates. So, but we'll get to that. First of all, our first points of the week. No, it was Charles Leclerc. Yes. Well, we'll get to the start was caused chaos, right? We'll get to that. Yeah, yeah, and then it was in P4, Lando Norris. So still no points. And P5, Russell. You're you went all in. In hindsight, just to chuck it out there, in hindsight, this is one of the tracks Norris is good at. So picking Piastri was a. I mean, Piastri's good at it too. He won, obviously. Um, yeah, yeah, of course. But just put it out there. Right, let's get on to the race start. We have to talk about it. Yeah, true. Yeah, very true. Yes, race. Yeah, okay. The start is nuts. So obviously these new regulations. That's the best thing about these new regulations now. Isn't just the fact the overtaking is nuts. It's the fact these race starts are just crazy. Um, we get Max Verstappen and Antonelli going at it together. Max then spinning a complete 360, not getting hit at all by any cars. Leclerc finding his way into the lead. And then if that wasn't it, like the rest of the lap was nuts as well. And the back markers just went to town for the first like 10 laps. Yes. Because he hasn't got a penalty from that, has he? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We'll discuss his teammate as well. So Lawson had already got in trouble with another drive. Was it Max? Was it Max on his way through? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And then Lewis Hamilton gets hit by Colapinto. Now that does damage his race, right? He has he doesn't have the bottom half of his car for all of the race, so he's way slow. But my favourite part of this whole incident is: have you seen Lewis Hamilton flipping Colapinto off as he passes it? Not this is actually unless I've been duped by some AI thing. Lewis Hamilton flips off Colapinto as he passes him to take seventh place. It's crazy. Bear in mind, Colapinto's a huge fan of Lewis Hamilton as well. It's so funny. It's so funny. Yeah, the fact it was moved 3 hours was crazy enough. But yeah, we were actually we were told it would rain anyway. So and it did, I guess, a little bit. But as F1 fans, a disappointing amount, if you agree. Yeah, it was a bit, but yeah, I'll give it. I'll give it its dues. At least the regulations haven't made the racing too boring. When it was the sprint race, I was like, they've literally just reset it back to what it was. But this race actually had a bit of show business, especially up the front. Like they were really going at it. Uh, and you know, we had tactical overtakes as well. The fact Antonelli's overtaken Lando in a pit stop, that's lots of fun. The fact that Max gets so far ahead of everyone else because he takes an early pit stop. I really think he should have done a two stop in hindsight. I think he would have been able to catch everyone and overtake them um, pretty easily based on his form in the first half of the race. But he doesn't. And ends up going backwards. Right, that was the big drama for the end of the race. We looked like it looked like there was going to be a Lando Antonelli fight, but it was just Max Verstappen going backwards the whole time, which was the drama. Well, there's one last one, unless you have a few that you were going to bring up. Yes. So Charles Leclerc decides he's pushing at the last lap. He's just been overtaken by Piastri. He's pushing to keep up with him, and he spins the car and hits the side on the very last lap. He hits the side of the bollard, and then decides to take his car that clearly doesn't work around the track, just missing every corner. Meanwhile, the funniest part of this for me was that Lindblad was just getting in the way the whole time. So Max Verstappen catches up with him, and George Russell catches up with him. George has just overtaken Max, and then they get into a scrap because Leclerc decides he doesn't want to give this up. Again, Lindblad is right in the middle of everything, and then yeah, then Max gets involved as well because, of course, he can get involved. And it sort of is this dash to the mad dash to the line where Leclerc's car is just not working. Max might get a penalty that we heard about early in the race for crossing the white line in the pit stop, and also Russell gets like two warnings for penalties as well. So yeah, bit nuts. He tried his best to go around the track and just miss every corner. Yes, no, I know. It reminded me very much of Hamilton in Singapore. 20 seconds. Yeah, 20 seconds. Crazy. Absolute nuts. Yeah, definitely. Which was a big shame because I miss when Ferrari would come sixth and seventh every race. Yeah, I suppose with Hamilton's form last year, it was more likely to be that actually. Um, so yeah, absolute nuts race and a lot of fun to watch. Curses. It's worth also noting Max did also get a penalty for crossing that white line. It was just 5 seconds, so it did not matter at all. Well, we won't know. It could have been Liam Lawson, but mechanical issues took him out. My driver of the weekend would be Norris. Yeah, I think Norris deserves it. I think Piastri should get second. He did get on the podium for both races. They had a really good weekend, but yeah, it depends. Do you want the point for driver of the weekend, Piastri? Okay, you just give it Orlando for now. Yeah, I don't think the only other person I'd maybe mention is Colin Pinto. Obviously, has that crash with Hamilton, but he was fine in the race. And then I can't actually remember what happened to him in the sprint, but oh well. Come on, I think we've agreed before that you know you could have more than two, right? Yeah. Hit me with your four picks. Yeah. What I would say about Red Bull is they did do a great job, but only for Verstappen. And also, as I said, they could have pit, and I think Verstappen would have got a better finishing position. Oh yeah, that's true. So yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I think we both get points there, though. Yeah, huge shout out, which we're gonna get too soon. I think yeah. Evidently, I don't know. We'll have to wait to see if it's just the development that the car has gone. The classic second driver Red Bull way, or if Hadjar just had a poor race. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was a terrible crash. That was a laughable. Let me not. Yeah, not to insult Hadjar, but that was a Stroll-esque crash. I I I'm going to argue for somewhat another team though. No, they won the race. Yeah, one winning the race with no upgrades is incredible aura, or less upgrades. Like that is like yeah, you can try and screw us over, but also with the change of the rules as well, that was just like yeah, we're gonna get on with this. So that was huge. The Ferrari of the weekend should go to Ferrari. They've gone they've gone from the second they've brought a bunch of upgrades and gone from the second quickest team to the third quickest team, arguably the fourth behind Verstappen. So 3.5. They've gone back to where they were last year from being clearly the second quickest team in Australia. Remember in Australia how much quicker they were than McLaren. This is nuts that they are just yeah back to being 6-7. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, true that. Yes, I thought it was. I thought it was Lando. Yeah, it was Lando. Now, let me just point out: if I'd accidentally put my driver from fastest lap in demolition ward, I might get a point here. Demolition award. I think there's multiple contenders. Let me read them off: Liam Lawson, Hadjar, Leclerc, and Max Verstappen. I think they all deserve the demolition award. Although, just a caveat, Max didn't actually demolition anyone, but he could have demolitioned half the field if they weren't all scared of him. Lance Stroll. um, yeah, okay. No, no, sorry, I was laughing and said Lance Stroll because that crash was exactly what Lance Stroll would normally do. He literally did a Lance Stroll crash, which is the second time ever he's done a Lance Stroll crash. Because if you remember in his first ever race, that was also a Lance Stroll crash, crashing before the race starts. Lance Stroll, yeah. Also, also, his little paddy was so funny. His little paddy when he crashed. He was so angry. It really reminded me of Yuki Tsunoda in so many ways. Yeah, same. Anyway, let's get on to me getting more points. He didn't. Curse you, my cousin Ross. When he really should have got one. That would have been the second time your dad got you points as well. Yes! Boom! Boom! Come on, you can't argue with me. VAR, go back and watch. I swear I said point. I swear I just said that I expect him to get more points than Hulkenberg, if you remember. Yes! Again, uh, the only driver now to not have points apart from the Aston Martins and Cadillacs. It- yeah, that's true. That is true. You did give me 3 points. Not from what I know. Almost, but no cigar. Yes, the comeback king. And I'll win. Right, yeah, let's speed through these. Yeah. Let's start with Bottas. I think Bottas had quite a poor weekend, but that is really only from like the comparison to his teammate is what I would say. I think Sergio Perez is really flying right now. So I'm going to give Bottas a. Oh, I'm going to be harsh. I'm going to give him a 3. No, I don't. Did he out qualify him? Well, he definitely didn't out race him in either of the races. That's all I'm saying. He did. He did out qualify him in the race, but not in the sprint. He finished a lap behind Perez, just so we're clear. Meanwhile, Perez beat a point scorer in the sprint. He beat Alex Albon in the sprint. Not for points. Yeah, he beat a point scorer. So cheeky 7 points for Sergio Perez. Yeah, he's done that a few times. Yeah, he's also beaten a certain German a few times this year. because that German can't actually start a race. Poor you. Your favorite driver just cannot actually drive. Oh yeah, definitely. Are you becoming an Antonetti? Are you going to become an Antonetti fan? Well, let me tell you, he did. Antonetti did really great in the first few races last year, and then Europe came around. 2 points in the entirety of Europe. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. In the qualifying, Lance Stroll out qualified Alonso. I think that was only sprint qualifying. He did fine this weekend. I'm going to give him a 5. Yeah, yeah. Just in sprint, just in the sprint qualifying. Fair enough. Fair enough. Alonso, I'm going to also give a 5. Yeah, that's fine. Fair. Albon, we're going to give. We got to be high with these boys, don't we? I think Albon's going to deserve a. Oh, 7. Yeah. Uh, Need to bring up the 0.5s. I forgot that was a thing you do. Uh, Signs can be an 8 because he did do amazingly in the sprint, but he at least didn't get beaten by Alonso and Perez. Sorry, Stroll and Perez. Yeah. It was the most nothing races for our two Alpha Tauris or whatever they're called now. So I'm going to give Lindblad a 4. I did enjoy how much he got in the way in that final lap, though. Uh, I'm also going to give Lawson a 4. All right, on to Colapinto. Difficult one. He came 10th and then obviously got promoted to 6th. Did cause that crash with Hamilton. I'm going to give him a 7. The fact he did get a penalty for that, by the way, was nuts. I get this at the start of the race, but like, not only did he force another driver off track, he also broke the undercarriage of him. Not to be a Hamilton fanboy, which I clearly am. He deserved that. Yeah, fair enough. I would have. All I'm saying is, I would have gave him an 8 if he hadn't have uh, caused that collision. Woo! Yeah, that's fair. I'm also going to give Gaffney a 7. He did get a point in the sprint, and he's just been great all season, hasn't he? A 9? A 9? Yes. That's Hulkenberg didn't really race at all, did he? So I guess a 0. No, I'm joking. He's gonna get a 5. He's gonna get a 5. It's not his fault. And he looked fine in the sprint, but again, I want to see him race. It was so bad. Fucking Heinz, deep in shots. Fair enough. I'm also going to give Fortaleza a 5. Fair enough. Fair enough. Ocon, I just have no idea. I have no idea what happened with the Hasses at all. They, but not in the race. I'm just going to give them both 5s. Yeah, let's yeah, get out of the way. Hadjar, it's a 2. A 9th in the sprint. Yeah, knife, which wasn't great. Okay, Max. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Max, I like to discuss, right? In terms of Max's what we expect from Max Verstappen, it has obviously gone down this year because he has struggled with the car, especially with starts. By the way, his starts are awful. Along with Antonelli's, his starts are just absolutely binnable. Um, but he is also the one of the best of all time. So he has, and especially these last few years. I'm going to give him an 8. I know some people would probably give him more, but okay. He did spin. Yeah, that is fair. Yeah, no, you know what? You've talked me out of it. Back down to a 7. Yeah, back down to a 7 as well. Get better, Max Verstappen. Piastri. I mean, it was a good race weekend. He did fine. I'm going to give him an 8. Yeah. Norris is going to get a 9. Yeah, yeah, no, you're right. That's his team. Yeah, no, fair enough. You talked me out of it again. So it's a and the race especially was impressive, right? Those overtakes after the pit after the safety car were very impressive. Hamilton a 4, two P7s. Really rough time. I would have gave Leclerc 5, but he did also spin himself, so he's getting a 4. It wasn't even yeah, yeah. Oh damn, damn. Yeah, I guess he did have a good race start. Antonelli, I'm going to give a tentative 7. Don't worry, I'll reflect that in my scores as well. Yeah, it's sort of the fastest car, I guess, is also to know. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Russell is also going at 4. He hates Miami. It is worth noting. Fair enough. Fair enough. And yeah, there we go. There we have it. Oh, Canada. Yeah, especially with the. This would have been an amazing race with the changes. Let me just say. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, true that.